Another powerful episode by Bene. Have you ever rented a place so cheap, it made you ask what's wrong with it, but you moved in anyway because life gave you no other choice? That was Lucy's story the moment she dragged her single Ghana must-go bag into the compound at 30 Olukoya Street. The heat was demonic that day, a kind of heat that made even shadows run from the walls. All the houses on that street looked starved of power, fans dead, fridges weeping water. But Mr. Fred's compound. Bright like Christmas. Freezer humming. AC outside his window dripping clean water. Lucy had barely signed the rent papers when Mama Rita, the old woman from Flat 5, whispered to her like a mosquito at midnight, "Don't ask questions. Just never open the metal door behind the backyard tank." Lucy smiled politely, thinking village-style paranoia had followed these people into the city. But that evening, as she boiled Gary water with her rechargeable lamp flickering, she noticed something strange. Her unit had no meter. Just a thick black cable that vanished into the wall, a wall that didn't match the original floor plan she saw online. There was a room there. A sealed, silent room. And somehow, it buzzed. The next day, Lucy woke up sweating, not from heat, but from a smell. Coppery. Thick. Like blood in a metal bowl. It came through the tiles. That morning, she found a thin red line seeping from a tiny crack behind the fridge. It wasn't water. It didn't dry. She crouched to touch it, hard in her mouth, and the second her fingertip grazed it, the lights in her room blinked twice, like the compound itself was warning her. She stepped back. A shadow passed her window. No footsteps. No sound. Just presence. And then, the humming started again. This time, it wasn't just electricity. It was rhythmic, almost like breathing. She backed away from the wall, locked herself in her bedroom, and sat with her back to the door. Her hands shook. Her phone was dead. No light. Just the cold realization that this place, this miracle rent that made no sense, was about to demand a price. And something behind that wall was already watching her. The next morning, Lucy woke with a plan, not to investigate anything, but to act like she was fine. Like this was just Lagos life. She swept her small tiled room, with that worn-out broom from the corridor, and played a sake low on her phone, just loud enough to drown out her thoughts. The fan still worked. The power was still on. She should be grateful. At the market by the Express, she haggled over tomatoes with a woman who called her "my sister" 5 times in 30 seconds. It almost felt normal. Even when she returned to the compound and found Mama Rita waiting with that wide-eyed curiosity only old women have, she forced a smile. "I see you like beans," the woman said, pointing to the shopping bag. "Last girl in your flat didn't eat beans. Said it gave her nightmares." Lucy laughed awkwardly and escaped inside. She cooked, mopped the floor, and hung her wet wrappers on the back line. But as she turned to head back in, something caught her eye. A trail of dark red water leading away from the backyard tap, thin and snake-like, disappearing behind the broken zinc that covered the back wall. She followed it slowly, barefoot on hot concrete, holding her breath without meaning to. And there it was. A metal door embedded in the far wall, bolted shut with 2 industrial padlocks. There were smudged fingerprints near the handle, some fresh. And below the door, a faded patch of blood had dried into the floor. She stepped back, suddenly aware of how quiet the compound was. That's when she heard it, a tiny click. Like a phone camera. She turned sharply. A curtain on Mr. Fred's top-floor window swayed slightly, but no face. No hand. Just movement. That night, Lucy sat in darkness. All 3 of her bulbs had blown within 10 minutes, no warning, just red glows, then pop. She thought about charging her phone, but decided against it. Somehow, Every socket in her room still worked. Even her blender blinked with blue light, mocking her fear. What kind of place had electricity when the rest of Lagos was sweating on their rooftops? Around midnight, she dozed off in her wrapper, curled against the corner of the wall like a refugee in her own room. She dreamed of her mother's voice. Of Osogbo. Of yellow buses and churches. Then a noise woke her, paper sliding under a door. She froze. Listened. Someone had come to her door, gently, carefully, and left something. It wasn't food. It wasn't a bill. She waited until the air felt still again, then crept to the door and peeked through the peephole. Nothing. No footsteps. No sound. Just shadows. She bent down slowly and picked up a piece of old lined notebook paper. On it, scrawled in shaky blue ink, were just 7 words: "You opened your eyes. Now keep them closed." No signature. No address. Her hands trembled. The smell of blood was stronger now. Not in the compound. In her room. And it was coming from the wall behind her fridge. She left the compound. Not out of confidence, but necessity. You can only sit in fear for so long before the noise of the world demands your attention. Lucy wore her cleanest blouse and rode a Danfo heading toward Costain. The driver insulted 3 passengers, the conductor called everyone change thief, and the woman beside her said Lagos was cursed because her neighbor gave birth during a thunderstorm. Life moved. Fast. Loud. Rude. At the cafe in Yaba, Lucy printed her CV and pretended not to flinch when the power cut mid-type, only to notice something strange. Her phone didn't lose signal. It still glowed at 100%. Even when the cafe router went down, her hotspot blinked steady. By afternoon, she walked through Tejuosho Market, past hawkers shouting, "Buy 'em here," past perfume boys and bubblegum girls. She bought suya. She tried to laugh at a man being chased by a goat. But when she crossed into her street, her own street, every sound muted. No generator hum. No children crying. No clatter from Mama Rita's aluminum pots. And worse, no animals. A stray dog that had been sniffing around earlier paused at the corner and backed away like something burned its nose. She turned slowly to the compound gate. It was open. Slightly. Swinging. Like something just entered ahead of her. As she stepped in, she felt it in her skin, a pulse, soft but rhythmic. Not from the air. Not from the ground. From the walls. She tried to cook but forgot the salt. Her body moved like her mind had stepped out for fresh air. Around 8 p.m., during a desperate urge to feel normal, Lucy decided to clean. She pulled her fridge forward to sweep behind it. The first thing she noticed was warmth. The wall was warm. A single vent near the base looked old and rusted, like part of a decommissioned AC system. But when she leaned closer, it breathed. Soft bursts of air, like quiet exhales. She touched it. It was damp. She pulled out her phone and opened the selfie camera, tilting it to peek into the narrow space behind the vent. What she saw was not a trick of light. A human eye blinked, dark, alive, watching, then vanished. She screamed, fell backward, hit the cupboard. Her chest pounded like thunder, ears ringing. She locked the door, pressed her back against it. Minutes passed. Then hours. She didn't sleep. Around 1 a.m., she started cleaning again, as if scrubbing reality would wipe away madness. While wiping the top shelf of her kitchen cabinet, her hand hit something flat, an envelope. Old, thick, sealed with yellowing tape. Inside, a faded photo. A girl. Sitting on Lucy's same mattress. Same curtain. Same wall. She looked like Lucy. A scar under her chin, Same smile. On the back, in typed ink, test subject number 43, room B, power phase 2. Lucy dropped the photo. Her breathing matched the wall now, shallow, scared, and no longer hers alone. Sunday morning came with quiet gospel songs playing from a neighbor's speaker. Lucy stood by her window, watching steam rise from her pot of boiling water. She had told herself she would stay calm. That she would not think about the photo. That she would not move the fridge again. She swept the room slowly, letting the broom scratch across the tiles like a ritual. She washed her clothes and hung them outside, trying not to look at the back wall. 2 kids kicked a flat football across the compound, shouting with joy. A woman knocked on her door, asking if she had extra salt. Lucy almost screamed. She gave the woman the salt with trembling fingers and locked her door behind her. Her journal lay open on the bed, but her thoughts scattered like dust. Maybe I imagined it, she wrote. Maybe Lagos stress is real. She told herself to go talk to Mama Rita, maybe laugh about the old woman's stories, ask about the photo. But when she knocked on Mama Rita's door, there was no response. Just a pair of sandals by the mat, and a kettle still warm beside the door. Lucy called twice. Nothing. A quiet chill ran through her chest. She backed away slowly. The world outside kept moving, buses honked on the highway, a sermon echoed faintly from a distant church, and a plane rumbled overhead. But inside this compound, something had gone still. Later that evening, as she returned from the borehole with her bucket of water, Lucy noticed the metal door behind the compound was open. Slightly ajar. Not broken. Not forced. Just waiting. Her first instinct was to walk away. Her second was to run. But a strange calm filled her, the kind that only comes when fear becomes too loud to hear anymore. She placed her bucket down and walked to the door. It creaked wider as she approached. Inside was a narrow staircase, stone walls sweating with moisture. The air smelled metallic, sour, and cold. She descended slowly. The hum grew louder. At the base of the stairs, a low-lit room spread out before her like a secret laboratory. Freezers lined the walls. Transparent bags filled with dark red liquid pulsed gently, connected by tubes that snaked into a large humming engine. Every machine blinked green. She saw labels, white tags on each freezer door. Subject number 39, phase stable. Subject number 41, low flow. And then one that stopped her heart. Subject number 43, vital drop recorded. L. Adams, match confirmed. Her knees gave. Her hands shook. She reached for a dusty clipboard nearby. It held a list of names. Women. All women. Dates beside them. Room numbers. Her own flat was listed next to Phase 2, sustained power draw 6 weeks maximum. Then, at the bottom of the log, a handwritten note in red ink. Subject number 43 resembles prototype perfectly. Cellular response above 80%. Prepare for next extraction. Lucy gasped, staggering backward, and then she heard it. A soft whimper from the far end of the room. She turned sharply toward the shadows. And behind her, a voice emerged, smooth and familiar, echoing like oil on water. Some lights only stay on, if something else dies. Sunday returned with its usual laziness. The kind where nothing rushed, not even the heat. Lucy sat outside the compound in a white plastic chair, a bowl of soaked clothes by her side, watching Lagos unfold. A hawker pushed by with chilled sachet water yelling pure water, 20 naira. A church bell rang faintly in the distance. Somewhere nearby, a Fuji song blasted from a rechargeable speaker, crackling and cheerful. The 2 boys who used to play football now sat under the almond tree, roasting corn over an open charcoal tray. It almost looked like peace. Almost. Lucy held her phone in one hand, a Bible app open, the screen unread. She wasn't reading. She was listening to the hum beneath the piece. The hum of the compound's quiet, unnatural breath. She thought of her mother again. A memory, the woman brushing Lucy's hair and saying softly, "Some wickedness, my child, doesn't raise its voice. It just watches you blink." Lucy stood slowly and picked up her wet wrappers to hang. Then she froze. All the lights in the compound flickered red for 2 full seconds. Then darkness. But not full. A faint greenish-white glow still pulsed through the backyard, from the door that led below. The cold room had called her again. Only this time, it wasn't closed. She walked barefoot. No more second-guessing. The fear had settled into something colder, purpose. The metal door was wide open now. Waiting. Lucy descended. The steps were wet. This time she didn't flinch. The room below was exactly as she remembered, only now the machines sounded louder, almost angry. Mr. Fred stood near the generator's core, not surprised, not startled. Just still. He turned as if expecting her. His voice was low, almost kind. "Do you know what power is, Lucy? It's not voltage. It's sacrifice. Lagos runs on both. I just made it cleaner." She said nothing. He gestured calmly toward one of the freezers. It was open. Inside, suspended in a half-sitting position, was Mama Rita. Her eyes fluttered. Tubes entered her arm, her neck, her spine. She was still alive. A low sound escaped her lips, not a scream, but a whimper. Like breath trying to die. Lucy staggered backward. "You're not God," she whispered. Mr. Fred smiled faintly. "God doesn't keep the lights on in this country, my dear." "I do." That's when she saw it. A slow leak from the blood bag line dripping onto a power socket. A flicker. A spark. She stepped sideways. A fire extinguisher. A hanging switch. A coil of wire. Her body moved faster than her thoughts. In one sharp motion, she grabbed the cable and ripped it free. The machine shrieked. Alarms wailed. Sparks danced across the ceiling. Blood tubes burst like veins cut too deep. Mr. Fred didn't move. He simply stared at her, backlit by chaos, as if proud. "Even if you stop this one, Lucy," he said calmly, "you've already lit the fuse. They will come for what I built." She didn't wait for the rest. She ran. Up the stairs. Through the backyard. Into the street. Behind her, the compound crackled with electric fury. Then smoke. Then fire. She left Lagos a week later. 3 months later, in Surulere, she passed a sleek billboard, "Fredsun Energy, always on. Powering Africa." The smiling man on the poster wore a familiar face. Only this time, younger. Smoother. Cleaner. And still watching. Wow, that was huge. One fans. Dear viewer, what lessons do you pick out of this epic story? Like and share. Like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bells.